Bay too.
Yeah, it's important to note, Jess, on that map that you see there in that square on your screen, that includes the San Francisco Bay, which includes several communities.
Hey, everybody. There was a 7.0 earthquake hit Northern California off the coast. They're saying there's a tsunami warning. They're saying in about 3 o'clock Eastern, which is noon time Pacific. They're saying that a tsunami. They've got tsunami warnings and telling people that are near the waters to go to higher ground. So I decided to come on. Hello. Hi, Marla. Hi, Share Bear. I decided to come on. I've got CBS News on, so let me put them on.
On the water, and we are seeing all up and down the coastline boats being brought in. Of course, we know there are many boats for many reasons out on our waters here in the San Francisco Bay Area. They have all been told to get in and to just stay safe. Now, let's just really talk about some news you can use right here. This punctuates the importance of two words put together that we hear all the time here in the Bay Area, and that's go bags. Make sure that you grab your go bag. If you have 2 or 3 that keep you prepared for this, get it and get to higher ground. The most important thing that you can use right now is information. So that speaks to needing to have a battery in your bag that can keep your cell phone powered. We know that our friends up in Humboldt County, they are in the dark right now. Electricity is out.
I hate to interrupt you, Reed, but hold on. My producer, Dave, just gave me this important note of information. Say that again, Dave. Okay, we just got word from the National Weather Service that the tsunami threat in the Bay Area is over. Now, we're working to confirm that, but according to my producer, the National Weather Service, Jess, you have some new information as well.
I'll read it from the National Weather Service directly. The tsunami warning is canceled for the coastal areas of both California and Oregon. They're now stating that no tsunami danger is presently in this area, here in the Bay Area. So this will be the final warning from the U.S. National Tsunami Warning Center. That's the final message issued for all of our region, all throughout the Bay, all throughout our coastline in California. We just got this update from the National Weather Service. The tsunami warning is canceled for the coastal areas of California and Oregon. Reed?
So that's not to say, though, that this is not still an important story, because we have seen communities mobilize all up and down the coastline. We've been showing you images of people on the roads evacuating, bottlenecks of traffic. So regardless of whether that has expired or not, and we're so glad that it has, thank goodness for that, there are still the impacts of that. And that is going to speak to the fact that we still need to be good neighbors, we still need to pass along information, and we still need to be patient out there on the roads, because the roads are going to be jammed for quite some time. The impacts are real.
Okay, I want to get to Ryan Yamamoto. He's in our newsroom. And Ryan, you've got some new information.
Yeah, we've been scouring through social media, looking for different videos of the damage, especially up in Northern California. So we're getting our first look at some of the damage. We've been showing it to you earlier, but let me give you some context of what we're looking at. The first video, this is from the Victoria Inn in Ferndale. You can see that door has collapsed, the glass is shattered, all the bar items and the drinks and the liquor, that has all fallen down. This is in Ferndale. This was built in 1886. It's called the Victorian Inn. It's about 20 miles south of Eureka. We also have some more damage out of the Ferndale area. This is one ex-user posting video from her home and around town. This, of course, is inside a grocery store. So you can see a lot of things were coming down from the shelves. But, of course, up in Northern California, in that part of the state, we're near the epicenter. I mean, they really felt this 7.0 earthquake. Also, this is footage of damage from a ShopSmart. This is in Redway in Humboldt County. This was actually taken by the fire chief up there. You can see all the cans and all the goods have come down off the shelves. So you can only imagine what that earthquake must have felt like as that shaking was happening of a 7.0 earthquake. And here's some video inside a grocery store in the city of Davis. They felt the shaking all the way there. We felt the shaking as close as City Hall, but some of the lights there are kind of swaying back and forth. So they definitely felt the shaking of that 7.0, even though they're about 350 miles from the earthquake's epicenter. And then this is a picture of the traffic from Half Moon Bay on Highway 92. We had that chopper shot earlier, but those are the people heading out of the peninsula to get to higher ground. Of course, that tsunami warning has now been taken away and is now been canceled. But as you mentioned, Reed, this is definitely having an impact on a lot of people out there. But some more damage of some of the different areas, the grocery stores and businesses up in Northern California that definitely felt the shaking, because they were so close to that epicenter of a 7.0. We're working to get more video and more information coming out of Northern California, but we'll keep you updated. But as you can see, if you were up in Northern California, you definitely felt it, and you definitely experienced some damage from that earthquake.
Yeah, we spoke to a couple people who live up there, Ryan, and they described it as sort of this rolling sensation. And, you know, I've lived in California my whole life, and we know a lot of people up there have lived there, too, and they felt earthquakes, but it doesn't matter. Every single time you feel one, it is shocking.
Oh, yeah, there's that moment, right, where you just kind of stop and you pause. You and I were in the studio for the noon show during, I think it was only like a 4.5, and you and I both, we froze and we looked at each other and then we looked up, and I remember watching the lights above us just swaying back and forth. And so it is an eerie feeling when you feel that. And, you know, I was here during warmer.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Lana Zach. We continue to follow this breaking news out of California. Some good news, though. A tsunami warning has been canceled following that 7.0 magnitude earthquake off of the state's northern coast. That earthquake struck 235 miles northwest of San Francisco. That was about 60 miles from Ferndale. Large waves are still being reported in the area, and officials have ordered evacuations in some areas. They're urging people, of course, to get to higher land and to avoid the coastline, even though that tsunami warning has at this point now been canceled. CBS News correspondent Carter Evans joins us from Los Angeles. Carter, even for California, a 7.0 magnitude earthquake, that's a big one. And when we're talking just 60 miles off of California's coast, that's pretty close. Talk to us, give us some context for understanding.
Conditions were right. When I heard about a 7.0 magnitude, you know, less than 60 miles off the coast, I immediately thought tsunami. And you've got a little time to prepare because the waves are going to take a little while to get to shore, generally traveling around 30 to 40 miles per hour through the ocean. That's how they can essentially time when they think the waves are going to hit. And that is ultimately probably how they were able to cancel this warning, too. The time when they expected the waves to hit based on when the earthquake struck passed and the tsunami did not materialize. And so that is certainly good news. But you're right, this was a big one. Conditions were right for it, just off the coast. And think about the Bay Area, too. So many low-lying areas there. So it's not just along the coast that was concerned. It's along all those waterways on the inland as well, all those homes in Marin County that are down close to the water. Those are big, big concerns. So this was a massive effort to get people away from the water's edge, away from the ocean, as fast as possible.
Yes, and you know, Carter, it was interesting watching our colleagues over at KPIX as they were following the people who were still out on the beaches and seeing those helicopter shots, as you can see, it's right there, of people who are still out there because this happened so quickly. It was so close to land. If there was, in fact, a tsunami, we're talking about minutes, not hours. I understand that those evacuation efforts, they were undertaken. Do you know, now that the tsunami warning has been canceled, are officials telling people that they can go back in? Are we just in sort of a period of confusion at this point? What's the best option in order to stay safe?
You know, probably going to be a lot of confusion right now. But since since NOAA basically has canceled this tsunami warning, I think it is safe for people to go back. But, you know, like you, I saw the video from the helicopter there, surfers in the water, and I thought, do they even know there is a tsunami warning right now? You know, there's no communication with them out there. They may not even have any idea. And then you do get some looky-loos that will go down to the beach and try and see if they can see it. Now, one of the clear signs that a tsunami is about to occur is often the water recedes. So it would look like an extreme low tide. And a lot of times, if people haven't been warned, that's enticing. People want to walk out. They can pick up shells and things like that. It's a strange sight to see. That did not occur, fortunately.
Very, very fortunate. Given, though, that this was a very large earthquake aftershocks always happen. We know that there's already been some of them. Can you tell us a little bit about the possibility of additional aftershocks, what has already been experienced there in California?
So we've already seen a handful of aftershocks, not nearly as big as the first one, but there is still possibility of more of them. Now, a large aftershock, 6.0 or bigger, that percentage is pretty low right now. But for the next week or so, that area could experience aftershocks that are definitely measurable and something that people could feel.
Carter Evans out there for us in Los Angeles. Glad that you and everyone in California are safe and that tsunami warning is now over. Thanks, Carter.
Sure.
We want to take you back over to our friends at CBS News Bay Area.
The USGS, just within the past 2 minutes, has reported a 3.9 earthquake, a 5.0 earthquake, and that's just offshore where you see Rio Del right there on the map, Garberville. Those are the communities we continue to keep a close eye on right now.
And one of those communities that really acted swiftly, especially when that tsunami warning happened, was in Pacifica, and our very own Gianna Franco is in that area right now. Gianna, do we have you on the phone?
Yeah, hi. Hey, guys.
Hi. Oh, thank goodness this tsunami threat now passed after that earthquake. Folks are, in theory, being allowed back into their homes. What are you hearing?
Yeah, it's where we came, we first evacuated up to Roberts Road, and then we went further back in the valley to an area where it's near Crespi and Fassler. And I have a really good view of Highway 1, and I can see part of the ocean. I'm watching flashing lights leaving Highway 1, so my guess is at some point they had something set up to sort of let people know, to get out of the area or to be safe.
Right.
But they clearly cleared that, and they did cancel school for the rest of the day, I think, just to play it safe.
Sure.
But most of the residents here, lived in the lower Lindemar area that came up to this area. I spoke to a guy named Ted who's been in Pacifica for 50 years. And, he and I both went through the 2011 tsunami warning that happened in this area that was triggered by the earthquake in Japan. So this one seemed a little bit more, a little scarier because, in the middle of the day, kids are at school and, they evacuated the schools pretty quickly, at least the ones that were in the lower lying areas. But it sounds like things have settled. I'm seeing a lot of the cars leaving now from where we are.
Right. And Gianna, I made this point earlier. The tsunami warning may have been lifted. So now the focus is on aftershocks, and we're watching the people closer to where the epicenter of this was. But there's also a story that affects hundreds of thousands of people from the Oregon coastline all the way down into the California coast. And that is exactly what you have found yourself caught up in. And that's going to be traffic jams throughout the day, interruptions in transit service, the need to check on your neighbor. This will be a story that will have lasting impacts throughout the day, which probably speaks, Gianna, to why schools are just canceled where you are in Pacifica.
Yeah, one of the reasons why we left the area we were at originally on Roberts Road is because it started to get so crowded with so many vehicles. People were making illegal U-turns, and I could just see the traffic backing up. And I just had that thought. It's, I've got me, my kids, my mom, our animals with us. I did not want to be stuck in any sort of backup or issue, especially if there was a need to evacuate even further back.
And I'm curious. Sorry, go ahead, Gianna. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
You are seeing that. You are seeing that. My stepson is on that road right now, and he's texting me, telling me it's kind of a madhouse.
Yeah, everybody's kind of relieved that the tsunami threat has passed, but now they're just trying to get back home. I'm curious, Gianna, you work in the news business, so you're very connected to what's going on at all times. But I'm thinking about the folks that aren't necessarily always connected to the news that's happening right now. They're not on their Twitter. They're not necessarily looking at their phones all the time. How is the community around you notified that it was time to get to higher ground and get out of that neighborhood? Were there calls? Were there specific warnings to your neighborhood?
Well, for us personally, we got the alerts on our cell phones. And then, when I walked outside with my family, I could, chatting with neighbors. They also got alerts. My elderly neighbor next door, she does have a cell phone, but obviously I went and checked on her first to make sure she was being evacuated. I think for the most part, people got the cell phone alerts, and we got them pretty quickly. I did not hear the sirens. We have a warning every Wednesday that goes off to kind of test the sirens. I did not hear those go off today. Maybe I tuned them out because I was so busy getting my kids out the door. But that is something I think that, typically happens when there is some sort of warning.
Right.
But I did not hear that. My alert was via my cell phone.
And we know we have a lot of people watching all over the world. We're streaming, and we just want to update people if you're just now logging on or tuning in. A 7.0 magnitude earthquake hit, and you can see right there where the epicenter was. It bounced back and forth, ladies, between 7.0 and 7.3. That quickly turned into what was blaring alarms on all of our phones here in San Francisco, down in the financial district, saying, tsunami alert, get to higher ground. And so that has been our life and the life of hundreds of thousands of people all up and down the Oregon and California coastline, grabbing our go bags and tuning in to information streams and making sure that we can do what these people are doing, which is get away at least 100 feet above water. So if you're just now tuning in, that's sort of the arc of this story. Jess was able to just tell us a moment ago that the tsunami alert has been lifted. Jess, any idea as to why that was lifted so quickly? It really made a lot of people get out on the roads and start to evacuate.
I mean, yeah, it stretched all the way down into Santa Cruz. We were watching the traffic get crazy along those shorelines as people were preparing for the worst. And the National Weather Service did report that around 12:10, that's the time right now, 12:10, we were expected to see some of those strongest waves near San Francisco. But as this continues to develop, mind you, it was originally a 6.0 reported, then a 7.0, then a 7.3, then back down to a 7.0. This is changing, and first responders are continuing to keep a close eye on that. The USGS continuing to monitor and update, and the National Weather Service is trying their hardest to keep you updated as soon as possible. I also want to mention, too, I was planning on flying with the National Guard today. All those aircraft are now put on standby. I just got this from my commander. All those aircraft for the National Guard here in Northern California are on standby just in case they need to do any response today up in Humboldt County. So not only is it government officials, of course, we're also continuing to keep a close eye on military officials, and just along our Northern California first responders, those are those community members that are ready to go in case there's anything else. But you see that map right there, all those aftershocks. Over 10 have been reported so far. One of the strongest ones happened just about 10 minutes ago, a 5.0 just off the shoreline. You see that larger orange circle well offshore. That's that 7.0 that happened at 10:44 this morning. That was the large one. Now those aftershocks are slowly starting to creep closer to the San Andreas fault line, which is highlighted in that light red color along the California coast. So there are a lot of developments happening right now. And Reed, to answer your question, the National Weather Service is updating us as soon as possible as to why that has been expired. But this is an update. The tsunami threat has now passed after that 7.0 earthquake.
And we're expected to see more aftershocks in the coming hours here. They're going to get less and less, but now is the time when you really could expect to feel it.
Exactly. And communities like you see right there on your screen, Rio Del, Eureka, Trinidad, all throughout that region. And we could potentially even see some along our California coastline here in the Bay, too. That wouldn't be shocking, especially after such a strong magnitude earthquake like we saw just about an hour and a half ago.
I'm really glad to hear that the tsunami warning was lifted, because we are now 2 minutes past when we were all told within the last hour when those waterways would be swollen. Now, we just got an update from State Senator Mike McGuire on X. Here's what he has to say. The state is sending immediate assistance to Humboldt and Del Norte communities to assist with emergency operations. He goes on to say there are reports of some homes that have come off their foundations in the greater Eel River Valley region of Humboldt. Homes off of foundations, folks. Approximately 10,000 customers also without electricity in Humboldt County. That from State Senator Mike McGuire. That just gives you pause. Places kids would come home to today to have their after-school snacks now wiped off their foundations.
Yeah, you're talking about just the damage that was from that major earthquake. We want to go to an emergency crew member from Arcata. Are you still on the phone there, sir?
Chris Emmons, can you hear us?
Chris Emmons from Arcata?
So as you can imagine, in these situations, kind of hard to get communications in and out. We'll continue to work on that. Just want to keep on this graphic here because Jess was talking about something that I think is interesting to look at and causes us all to sort of sit up and pay attention. You see that red dot on the far left out in the water? That is where the very large earthquake hit. Now you're starting to see the aftershocks start to move inland. Jess, you say that's closer to the San Andreas Fault. How do you read that?
What you're seeing right now on your screen, that light red color along the California coast near Humboldt County, all along that shoreline that reaches closer to us, that's the San Andreas Fault line. And you see right there, it kind of skirts a little bit to the left, just offshore of areas like Ferndale and all throughout that region, actually. That That's where this epicenter was. A 7.0 magnitude earthquake struck at just 10:44 this morning. And now you see all those smaller dots. One of the strongest aftershocks just got downgraded. And this is in live time, now down to 3.9. We're continuing to keep a close eye on Ferndale, Petrolia, all throughout this region. These are smaller communities that are still feeling the aftershocks right now. And they will continue to feel those too as we head into the evening hours tonight. I really find it fascinating that right after these strong earthquakes happen, the first thing that the USGS reports is the aftershock forecast. And we're seeing that in live time right now, up to around 10 currently. We're still expected to see about a 99% chance of more magnitude 3.0 earthquakes to occur along that San Andreas coastline that you see just right there. Reed?
And I want to toss it to Chris Emmons, who is with the Arcata Police Department. Mr. Emmons, can you hear us?
I can hear you. It's actually with the Arcata Fire Protection District.
Apologies, you're with the fire department. What can you tell us about what's happening in your community right now? What are you telling the folks who live there?
So what we've experienced 7.0. Actually, I've heard reports that it was 7.3 at one point. And as far as our area served, we serve 64 square miles from Arcata, which is home of Cal Poly Humboldt, all the way up to it's an area just south of Trinidad on the coast. And what we experienced was the earthquake. It was strong rolling effects up in our area. Then immediately a tsunami warning came out, and I believe it just got lifted in our area.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And what are you telling folks now that it has been lifted? Are you saying, folks, it's okay to go back to your homes right now?
If I heard you correct, is it safe to go back to their homes? At this point, yes, I would say so, because it's been canceled.
Okay. And what about the damage in your area? Did you see some major structural damage in Arcata?
So we're currently out doing damage assessment in our response area, and we haven't seen any major structural damage, but our resources are out there currently trying to find out if there is any. They're looking for infrastructure, building damage, anything there might be, but at this point we haven't found anything that's significant in our area. What I do understand where the earthquake was centered offshore is the southern part of the county, and I have heard that there's some more significant damage down that way.
Right, we're hearing some homes off of their foundations in Humboldt County. Tell us about this. You know, in these situations, the phrase that we are aware of in the media when we work closely with first responders really rises to where everybody hears it, and that is interagency cooperation and communication. What are you hearing by way of agencies that
Okay, I just came on to say there was a 7.0 earthquake in Northern California. They said about 60 miles off the shore. Humboldt County has been hit. They said there's some houses that have been knocked off their foundation. There was also, the reason I came on was there was a tsunami warning that was supposed to happen at, I believe it was supposed to happen at noontime Pacific. But the national, the NOAA, I think it was, that canceled the tsunami warning. So they had the 7.0, and then they've had multiple aftershocks after that, all in the same area. So I just wanted to come on. I basically came on because of the earthquake, number one, but the tsunami warning. But that's since been lifted. So you guys, all of you that are thanking me for coming on, you are most welcome. I just felt we have friends out there in California. I'm not sure. Marilyn, I know, is like in the desert area, but I don't know if she's up north or south. I do know that there was someone that goes on platforms quite a bit. Dee lives in Humboldt County, California. So I just want to end this show. I just want to say a prayer for that area. Heavenly Father, we're here today in your Son, Jesus Christ's name, to lift up prayer requests for all the people along the coast, the West Coast in California, Oregon, Washington. Right now, Heavenly Father, the earth is shaking in that area. And we're asking, Heavenly Father, that you put yours and your band of angels armor of protection over all of those people. Keep them safe, Heavenly Father, from these earthquakes and any tsunamis that come from them. And we ask that you do any repairs that need to be repaired. A lot of people are without power out there, Heavenly Father, and we're asking you to help them. We love you, we thank you, and we ask this in your Son, Jesus Christ's name. Please let it be so. Okay, everybody, I'll keep monitoring, but I just wanted to just come on because of the magnitude of the earthquake. I know up here in Maine we don't get too many of them, but I remember one specifically about 8 years ago. And it was only, they said it was only a 4.2 or something like that. But let me tell you, for me, that 4.2 did a whole lot of shaking. And it was nerve-wracking to sit through one. It lasted for about 30 seconds. And it was unnerving. So my thoughts go out to those people that are in California right now. Multiple aftershocks still going on. Even an aftershock, I believe one was magnitude 5. Now that's a high aftershock, so that's a pretty strong one. So anyway, I'm going to keep monitoring it. If anything else comes out about that, I'll come on. Kathy Grant, it is so good to see you, my friend. Very good to see you. So I'll be on if anything more happens about that. We just prayed that all those people stay safe, and I want you all to have a very blessed rest of your day. I love you all.